Hey guys, I'm LaNease Adams, and you are listening to Your Beautiful Day on the Gratitude Radio Network.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show, simulcasted on Your Beautiful Day here on the Gratitude Radio Network. And always, every week, we have such amazing guests. So I'm excited to welcome to our program my co-host, Jen Maud. Jen, how are you?
Hey, everybody. Doing good. Hope everybody had a really good week. And with me today is my life coach, Pearl Sharenza.
Hey everybody, happy Saturday or whatever day you're listening to us. I'm so excited. This is really, I was sharing earlier before we popped on, this is kind of very dear to my heart because this guest from where the show she's been on was something I watched with my mother-in-law since the first episode. So I'm very honored to bring it back to you, Jen, so you can introduce our amazing guest.
Well, she's no stranger to the entertainment world, and she's models, she's acted. She just wrapped up her movie, Heaven's Revenge. She has a web series, Misadventures of Catherine, and I feel like I need to give her a rose just being with her. So I am talking about the ever-gorgeous and glamorous LaNease Adams. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jen. Very nice to meet you, ladies. You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Awesome. And LaNease and I were talking off air for your fans. How have you been surviving the pandemic? Give us an update.
Well, I've been working out quite a bit, and that's just to keep my nerves down and keep my energy up. And then I've been working a lot, instead of vegging out and watching TV, like it could be easy to do. I've just turned my focus into positive things like reading, writing, and creating.
Very nice.
I agree. That's what I've been doing. I've been going into creativity as much as possible to keep me sane.
Exactly, because it's easy to get lost in your thoughts or in the uncertainty and the fear. There's just so many things that can get you down. I find that being creative, positively creative, is keeping me sane.
Right.
That's so true. I was working with a young girl yesterday. I had to move some people around. I had a young girl, she's 17, and she was like really struggling with going back to school and everything's changing. And so, we talked about getting out because she hasn't really been able to go out. I'm like, even just get outside, go for a walk. It's just so important to keep yourself moving and positive things to help you through this.
Absolutely. I've been suggesting that to everyone that I know, even on my social media, the importance of getting out and getting some fresh air. Obviously, you want to do it safely, but it makes all the difference.
It definitely makes all the difference. And it's hard because we go into this new normal, as I always hate to say, and it's so hard to get used to and what we're doing and all that. So go ahead, Jen. I know you have your first question.
No, it is. It's one of those things. But I want to go back, and I'd like for you to talk to our listeners about where you grew up and how the industry inspired you to be where you are now.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and not too far from Hollywood. And so I was always intrigued by the bright lights and excitement. I would just drive over to Hollywood and kind of just check it out and breathe in the air. And I started acting when I was young. When I was in third grade, I got the leading role in my school play. And I still remember performing that night and giving the audience a laugh. And so throughout my childhood, I always performed, whether it was at school. And once I became an adult and it was time to pick a career, there was really nothing else that I would rather do than to pursue my dream of acting and performing.
Wow. I think that's Pearl. I think she hit exactly where she wanted to go in life and having that focus. And I'm interested to learn more about that focus. And Pearl, that's huge, right? Especially at a young age when you're able to finally find your passion. It makes life easier than if you're aimlessly trying to figure things out.
That's so true. Because I work with the women I work with, one of the things we're trying to start and bring together with some other with female business owners is it's really important to bring it to the school. So if we can teach young girls or even young men, through the high school about really what is it you want to do, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a doctor, whatever that is, that dream that you have. If it's a passion now, let's find it. Just like LaNease knew when she was young, this was her path. So, and then how can we help them get there? Through schooling, through mentorships. It's really awesome when you can identify what your path is. Because some kids, they don't have that opportunity or that mentorship to know where they want to go. And they struggle for like the first 4 or 5 years out of school. And it's like, they finally get the aha, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. So I think it's amazing that you identify that at a young age, LaNease, and you've gone forward with that. So my question is, how did that bring you to when you hear so much things in the industry. So when you are going and you're looking for those things that you want to do, like, how do you determine what's the best project for you to do?
Well, when I was younger, I would do any project that was offered to me. As an actress, you kind of just want to work and you want to build your resume. So I would really do anything back then. And that's kind of how I ended up doing a lot of dating shows. And I ended up being offered The Bachelor because people really kind of liked my personality. They thought I was fun and funny. But now, as I'm older, I like to do more roles that I feel a connection to, something that can be teachable, either make someone laugh or cry. Just something positive is how I choose my roles now.
What did you learn from the earlier roles, and not counting The Bachelor, from before that helps you today in choosing the roles that you want?
Well, it used to be that I'd get an audition and I would read the materials and it was just something that I didn't even connect to or didn't want to audition for. And then I would go in and I wouldn't do my best performance because there was no connection. So now, if I get something across my desk, I will take a look at it and see if it's something that I really feel like I can bring myself to. And if so, then I'll move forward. But if it's something that I don't think is the best fit for me, then now I'll just go ahead and pass on that audition instead of wasting their time and wasting my time.
I think that's amazing, because I think even in somebody like me who's not an actress but isn't a business owner, that's really how I approach my business as well. Like, I have clients, a few years ago, I totally pivoted what I do. And I knew I was going to increase my prices and I knew where I wanted to go. And I actually was in a contest about a year ago. It was a men and women in business contest. It was like a beauty contest, but for business owners. And one of the questions I got asked, you walked in a room of like 15 business owners. You didn't know what the questions were being thrown at you. And one of the questions that I was asked is, what did you do to change your business and how did it affect? And I said, well, I totally did a pivot. And in pivoting it, I changed my prices. I almost doubled my prices. Mm-hmm. And the follow-up question, well, did you lose? And I said, actually, I lost the customers that weren't the right fit for me, and I gained the customers that were the perfect fit for me.
Absolutely. I actually experienced that same thing because I have a soap line. It's called Fountain of Youth Bath, and it's organic. It has minerals. It has aromatherapy. I mean, there's so much goodness in it. And my prices, I started off low in order to try to get more customers. But what I realized is I wasn't able to make the best product at that price point. So what I had to do was go up a little bit on my prices so I could put more goodness in it, and the right customers came along, and that, I think, is how we have to live life too. We have to, set our boundaries, set our goals, and then just try to collect the people who are meant to be there.
And that's the pivot that you talk about. And Jen, that's the challenge, to figure out that, because you think you have the right plan in place, but you have to monitor and adjust, which I've learned as a teacher. And now where I'm trying to expand my business further by not just being me. in my digital marketing and tech company and saying, okay, now I have to really look at the right people. Where are my real weaknesses? And be willing to hand it off to other people. And Jen, that shift, you see it as a business owner as well, is a challenge because you constantly think, I had it right then, but then that eureka point says, no, I don't, right, Jen?
Oh yeah, and that's discernment, and that's what LaNease is talking about. And as an actor, I can attest, especially with her being in LA and growing up around the industry and in the industry, we're used to the cattle calls. You're used to going to that. And as an actor, just trying to get your foot in the door, you'll do whatever, not with whatever, but you're willing to go the extra several miles if you're in LA. You're willing to go across wherever mountain you have to go through to get in front of a person so that you can finally get to the point where, LaNease, you are now, because now you're discerning not just in acting of what roles you want. This is what I'm going for. You're putting it out in the universe. It's coming back with you. And tell us about Heaven's Revenge. Tell us about the movie that you just got done wrapping up.
Well, Heaven's Revenge is a project that I wanted to do because I wanted to show the different parts of a woman's personality. We can be funny, we can be sexy, we can be, upset, we can be emotional. And so this movie takes the character Heaven over an arc where she's happy, she doesn't want to fall in love. The guy convinces her to give him her heart, which she does reluctantly, and then he breaks it. So she goes through a depression, but at the end of that, she doesn't take it lying down, and she comes back and she gets revenge, which is why it's called Heaven's Revenge. And so that project was just fun for me to just show the audience that arc, and hopefully also men can learn too that if a woman's doing okay on her own, you should maybe let her be if you don't have the best intentions for her. And so they got to see that up close and personal. So that was a real fun project for me. And we shot it up in the Hollywood Hills at a beautiful mansion. So the scenery is beautiful. And then I had a good friend of mine, Paul Stewart, who's an Oscar-winning music supervisor. He helped me with the music. So we've got great music, great wardrobe, and a great storyline.
Wow.
I love the storyline. I think it's so true. And I think the other part of that story that's there too is that we as women, sorry, Neil, is understanding that we don't need, you don't need a partner, a male partner. You don't need to lift you up. You as an individual female, we're powerful. And just like we share here on our show that, we're full of gratitude, and having the right person that recognizes that and then wants to lift it up. I mean, next Friday, I'm celebrating 34 years of marriage, and I have the best husband in the world. I'm very blessed because no matter what I do, he lifts me up and he promotes me. And even if it fails, he still finds the silver lining in what I was doing. So
wow, I want someone like that. Does he have a brother?
No, unfortunately, no, he doesn't.
Oh, man.
But the point
right?
is, I've always been lifted up, and that's what when I work with my women and young girls is that, you don't need anything but yourself, and what you pour into yourself and you manifest is what you're going to bring back. And then just be happy and thankful for what that happens. And then I have a lot of women that I'll coach. They'll go, well, I want a man in my life. I'm like, okay, well, here's your first homework. Go tell me what he looks like. What is he doing? Does he have a job? Is he married before? Like, they're like, really? Well, yeah, I want to know what he looks like. And then you start manifesting it, but the point is you don't have to have that person to be successful. And you've proven that.
Well, yeah, thank you, by the way. I finally had to just kind of take my own life into my hands and not wait for, I used to be the type of person that when I got into a relationship, I sort of just followed behind them like a puppy dog, and I would completely change my whole life for that man. But what I realized is a lot of men, for one, don't necessarily want that. And for two, when that relationship ends, you don't know who you are anymore. And so I had to change that about myself and figure out who I am, what I want, who I want to be. and then, pray and manifest a partner that can complement that for me.
And see, I'll add my male point of view in this conversation. When is The View calling me to say, "Hey, we need a man like you on The View"? But the point I'm making, I agree with you. But it goes the other side as a man too. If you don't have the right partner in place that's going to support you throughout the good times and bad, regardless, and failure, that too is a problem. So it's finding that the power couple to really see each other for their weaknesses, but understand that we can build each other up to help them get to where they need to go. We always look at the one person as, hey, that's the person that's going to do all this, while the other person is going to be in the background. And it could be where it's a very strong woman and the man's there, and the man's like, okay, I'm just cool where I'm at. That's not good either. We really want to have two that are really trying to grow their relationship, but also grow as individuals, to grow their personality and I guess their overall, prestige, whatever it is, accomplishing things that really make them passionate. Would you agree on that? So that's the thing. So it goes both directions. It's not just the females can't find males like that. Males sometimes can't find females like that really build them up instead of tear them down.
Yeah, Neil, that's a good point. I have two boys that I'm raising, and so my oldest is 23, and my youngest will be 21. And that's the thing that I've always have instilled and brought to them, is like, whoever it is, the person you meet, you guys need to be equals. Lift each other up. If you have a dream you want to do, then you do that, but also lift up her with her dream. And it's not a control thing. It's how do we equally support and each other, and also achieve our goals together, even when they're individual goals.
Right. And so, LaNease, I guess the point being is not approachable, being someone that was on The Bachelor, meaning very good looking. Is it harder when guys that come up that really have a chance to say, I have a chance to date you?
Well, thank you for that, by the way. I tend to get guys that do approach me to date me, but I think I'm super picky. I got to admit it. I like a really funny guy. I like a really smart guy. I like an older man because, I lost my dad when I was 1 year old. And so my relationships tend to be a little bit more where my boyfriend is the leader. So, I get a lot of young guys that kind of want to date me, but they're just not, it's that dynamic does not feel good to me. So I do get approached, but I'm not by the right one. I'm just, I've had some great relationships, and I'm hoping that this next one is the perfect one.
Oh, I hope so for you too.
Thank you.
Tell us about The Bachelor. Were you drawn to him? Did you have it just looks so magical on the show, because that's what they're doing, right? This is like Disney for dating. So,
Yes.
in real life, of course, does anybody come close to doing anything that happens from The Bachelor? Have you had any of those, like, oh my God, now the room's filled with roses, and, are they bringing flowers like they should be,
Well, I will be honest. I've been a little lucky, I guess, because I'm in LA. The guys that I've dated have all been very successful. And so that dynamic I have had, granted, not like on The Bachelor, where your first date, you're taking a private jet to Vegas on the gondola, playing blackjack and drinking champagne on the first date. That was spectacular. But that was an amazing time. It was just mind blowing how, you wake up one day and then you're in a limo, you're going to the mansion, you meet this wonderful guy. And he was smart, he was funny, he was kind, attractive, a good kisser, which I found out first, having the first ever kiss. So it was quite magical. And actually, when it's all over and you get sent home, that is just sort of depressing, because it's like, oh man, now I'm back to, this silly apartment, and I want to live in the mansion with the bachelor. So that was a tough adjustment.
Every woman wants to live in the mansion with the bachelor.
Yes,
We
come
all
on.
want that. But
I
you
was
gotta
that
do the mansion.
I was so close, so close. But then who do you date after that? It's like this one guy wanted to take me out for chili, and I was like, oh, wait.
Vegas,
No.
Philly.
We're not going to Chile for chili.
This is not going to work. Spice it up a little bit.
I guess I have to ask the next question. No, from that experience, and we've heard the story, and that's the challenge that happened. Your experience on The Bachelor was fantastic, but then when you went, there was no real problems on the set or any of the stuff like that.
Correct.
You had a great experience, right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah, and which is why I didn't really speak out a lot earlier about what I went through after the show, only because I absolutely love the producers of The Bachelor, and I loved that whole experience. It was life-changing. I don't have a negative thing to say about any of them, and so I didn't really want to have what happened to me afterwards reflect negatively on the show or on them. It was genuinely just my experience. One, just having to deal with the sudden fame, because it was season 1 and we didn't know that 20 million people were going to be watching. So, one day I'm a struggling actress trying to read any script available, and the next day when I walk outside of the house, literally everyone wants to talk or take a picture, and that was different. And then also the negative stuff that I read online from some people who thought that because I was Black, I shouldn't be dating the Bachelor. Who do I think I am? And why would he pick her? And, why is she wearing that? And that was really tough. It was for a 23-year-old girl. It just tore me down. And I didn't have any coping mechanisms the way I do now. So I ended up going through a deep depression afterwards. So it was, it's just like you hit the ground floor and you have nowhere to go but up once you make it through that.
Wow.
So that's, it's so night and day, like you described it. I felt like I was like right there with you and the way you described it. And so I know, how did you, because you didn't have coping mechanism. So tell us some of the story to go from where you were there to where you are today. Like, how did that change? And because there's people that are listening that are probably sitting in the same place where they're like, I feel you, because I could just feel you in that story. And so
yeah,
for the people that are listening to right now, LaNease, like, walk them through what you've been through, and then where did you turn, what the journey was to pull you and ride the mountain and climb the mountain up to where you are today.
Well, once I did start going through depression, and I had a friend who wasn't a real friend who offered me a pill to make me feel better. And that ended up into an addiction to medication. I was self-medicating and I wasn't eating. And so I ended up in the hospital, and I was in the hospital, and I would say near death, and the only thing in my mind at that time was how I was alone, and none of the people who I had put ahead of me, their opinions, I had always just based my opinion of myself on everyone else, but here I am alone. None of them are here. It's just me. And that was a breaking point. It was me. I called on God. I was like, God, help me. And, they gave me something to put me to sleep. And when I woke up, I just started the journey of, okay, how did I get here? How am I going to get out of here? I started journaling a lot to get in touch with my feelings. I started reading a lot of self-help books. I realized that I didn't have any self-love. I realized that I didn't, I just didn't understand life, and that I needed to love myself. I needed to have confidence. I needed to realize that life isn't going to be perfect. Everyone's not going to like you. All of the things that I should have known, but I didn't know, I started finding them out through lots of reading. And I just started working out, taking a walk. And the two main books that I will say really changed my life, one was The Art of Worldly Wisdom, because since I grew up without a father and my mom was young, I realized I didn't have a lot of life skills. No one really taught me these things. And so what I found in the book, The Art of Worldly Wisdom, there was 300 maxims that helped me learn about life. Like, okay, how to take those things that come to you and just how to live and thrive. And then also the 4 agreements, don't take things personal. All of those things eventually just helped me grow into a person who was on more solid ground, so that when you get pushed, you don't get pushed over, because we all get pushed, but it's about being able to take those pushes and still keep going. So I would say reading and journaling eventually got me out of that hole. And also reading about other people who experienced these things that came through it. I remember reading about Fergie and other artists that experienced these rough times, and now they're just thriving. So I knew it was possible.
So sometimes when things get to that point of depression, it's from a dramatic experience that happened to you. And then going to childhood before that. But thinking of that thing is all the, so I think it's the euphoric situation that you're in on The Bachelor. You're, this unbelievable opportunity experience. You make this connection, it doesn't work out, you're sent home, and then the flood of the media hits you because you are like, well, I'm now back to normal. I'm back to where I'm at. I wanted to be here and now I'm not here. And that led to getting depressed and down and upset. But was there a childhood experience that could be the trigger from then to now where finally it just hit you, the depression?
Well, yeah, my father, he died when I was 1 year old, and my mom was only 19 when she had me. So, I didn't have a very loving home that I grew up in. My mom did love me, but I just felt alone. I think I just felt alone, and I wasn't secure in who I was, because the other girls on The Bachelor, they experienced a tough time too, but none of them went to quite where I went. And I was the only one who had lost a parent, who had teenage parents, who, so although I was intelligent and I had a great education, when it came down to life skills, I just didn't have those coping mechanisms, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. So it was sort of the perfect storm of everything was now, I felt terrible. And it didn't have to be that way, because as an actress, I was getting phone calls and auditions and movies. My career at that time would have been taking off if I hadn't been dealing with all of the inner turmoil that I had. I was afraid. I was sad. I lost some of my confidence, reading online when someone's saying, who does she think she is? You shouldn't let that get to you. I know that now, but stuff like that can bring you down if you're super sensitive and you don't have a good sense of self. So I really had to just start from the bottom and build myself up to be stronger. Like now people can say whatever they want and I can deal with that. And I wish I was that way when I was younger, but better late than never.
Exactly.
Well, some things only come with age, but at the same time, everything that you're saying, so many people who have gone through this year with COVID are experiencing all of that without the
Yeah.
coping mechanisms. And like you're saying, my parents were teenagers. My mom had 2 kids when she was 19.
Right. Same as my mom. I was her second child. And what do you really know at 19? You
Nothing.
know? Right.
Especially
Right.
in the 50s where, everybody was drinking and smoking at 13. So,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
so nobody could understand the culture difference between, now and then, but it's just something it's hard to go through. And that manifests for people in different areas of their life. Like if you've gone through COVID, or if you've, gone through what you and I have that in common. Your coping mechanisms are really good, though. I have to say, I'm learning mine. I feel like I'm just now starting to learn my own coping mechanisms.
Thank goodness for coping mechanisms. I mean, I get up, I go for a run or I go for a walk. I journal religiously. That I didn't realize how good that can be. But just like having a conversation with a good friend will help you sort through some things, having a conversation with yourself on paper, getting your thoughts out, getting some clarity, helping you move forward with your ideas has been like night and day. It's been everything for me. So yes, I think finding your positive coping mechanisms is important.
We do a thing. It's called brain dumping. So before you go to bed, I work with my women, and I'm like, get a piece of paper, write everything that's in your head right this minute before you go to close your eyes. Write it down and then throw it away. It's like get it out of your head, because they talk about they can't sleep. They're so stressed. There's so much on their mind, And then in the morning, you write it again, and it ends up turning into your to-do list almost for the day. So
Exactly. Yes.
yeah.
Pearl's good when it comes to all that stuff.
Thanks, Jen.
She definitely does. So what would you say? You said your turning point was basically, you said, I'm going to make that change, right? It was not anybody else, LaNease, that helped you in that process, or is it pretty much just you?
Absolutely. My turning point was recognizing that we're here alone, and you hear, and then I started to hear it more after I recognized it. It's like you're on this earth, you come into this world alone. I realized that I was a very codependent and that I needed to be more independent. And so I just started to work on being more dependent on myself, because no one can teach you the lessons. You've got to go out and find them. You've got to do it yourself. People can love you, but they can't learn for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well done.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. It was tough. It's looking back, it it's interesting. I remember being in bed just, feeling like I didn't know what was going to be next. Just like I'm sure people have been with COVID, just not knowing what's coming next. And I just stayed positive, and that's the best thing you can do for yourself as well. You have two choices. You can either think positively, or you can think negatively. So you got to make the choice to be positive. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, even when it's hard.
What made you want to tell the story? Because you said you didn't say stuff right when you went home. What made you want to tell
Right.
the story?
Well, I had wanted to tell the story a bit ago to help anyone who was going through a depression, or just to help people maybe be more kind to people on reality TV. But there wasn't really a way for me to tell the story that would work. And I got a call from Women's Health magazine right when my season was about to re-air, just a couple months ago, and they asked me about my experience on the show, and they thought it would just be all positive. But once I did tell them about what happened afterwards, they thought it was something that that should be shared more widely. And so it was actually kudos to Women's Health Magazine who wanted to share this story. I didn't reach out to them. They called me and reached out to me.
I think that's awesome. There's so many layers of the story too, and reading it too. So not just from the women's perspective, but also the backlash that you got, that you've been talking about here on the show. And then the other part is like, you know, by now, I mean, I have a son, it was born of my heart, and he's mixed race. And to watch what he goes through, and it's like, when are we going to go through this, you know? And it's just, it's like, you think you're just past it, and then bam, it hits us in the face again. So where do you want to go with the platform from here? Like, what's your thoughts on moving forward and trying to get that message out a little bit more?
Well, growing up in LA, I always had friends of different races, you know, and I've always also dated outside my race. In Los Angeles, it's a little bit, it's much more common. I think a good thing or a good platform that I have is to maybe just help be a light to people who don't see it as often, who may be in middle America, and they don't recognize that we're all more alike than we are different. I don't want to like beat anybody over the head with, you know, you got to accept this or that. I really would like to do it in love. I really would like to just be a good person and to say, look, I'm a good person. And, you know, we really need to judge people according to how they are. And so I think if I can be a good example, then I've done my part.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Like having good conversations. Jen and I've talked about this before, like after everything started happening, I kept getting all these emails, and I'm like, my big thing back to everybody I would email them back and go, how long have you taken the book off the shelf for? Tell me what you're doing with the book after this goes past. Like, what's the next chapter you're writing? And I would, like, sometimes I'd get really good responses, and if they didn't respond, I would unsubscribe them because I didn't want to do business with them if they couldn't answer that question.
Absolutely.
Tell me about the web series.
Yeah.
Well, the web series, oh my gosh, you guys will get a good laugh. It's called The Misadventures of Catherine, and it's meant to just be like funny comic relief. The first episode we just posted about 2 weeks ago, and it's called Angry Bird. And I play a notary named Catherine who goes to do a notary at this couple's home, and their bird starts screaming obscenities because I disturbed his sleep. So you can find that at the misadventuresofcatherine.com and check out Angry Bird. And we've got some more comedy things coming as well. I'm doing one with my niece and our dog, who he becomes obsessed with Beyonce. So it's really just fun stuff to give people a little laugh.
That's great. Because you have a brand now, then you could use that platform for your other stuff and keep this going even during COVID. You're smart. You're continuing to create content when a lot of people shut down creating content.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I've been just keeping myself busy, and one of the ways I've been doing it is just being creative. It's like we can just sit back and watch TV, and you know, that's a nice way to give yourself some relief. But for me, I like to be creative and be productive. So that's the way I've chosen to do it, is just writing content, creating content, and exercise, and a glass of wine here and there.
Glass of wine's always good.
Yeah.
All right. So Jen, any other questions for LaNease?
Yeah, what do you want to do after COVID's over and hopefully we're all out and about and back to where we used to be?
Well, I cannot wait until COVID's over. I mean, I miss seeing all the smiling faces. Everyone's just a little bit more down these days. So I'm looking forward to seeing my friends and, you know, everybody smiling. For me, I really hope to do some TV, some films, have some fun in that aspect, and go on some dates. You know, I'm single during COVID, so I'm just stuck sleeping with the family dog, which is, he's nice and all, but I'd love to go on a nice date once this is all over.
Girl, I'm with you. I think we should make a double date. I am
Yes.
tired of being home and single. It's like, what the heck do you do? And you're on The Bachelor. What advice do you have? Give me advice.
It's hard with COVID. There's really nothing that we can do. I'm working out so that once it's over, I can throw on my bikini and try to catch some action. It's like, I really don't know what to do. You guys tell me. You're the professionals.
I think you need to come to Florida because we don't have all those crazy restrictions you've got going on there in California. I was telling my mom this the other day, I'm like, Mom, just come on, I'll put you on a plane, come here. And then, our beaches are open here. So, we've got some of our scenes are open downtown Ybor City. So, we got plenty of places between Jen and I. We got lots of room. So come on, LaNease, hop on a plane and we'll show you the town around here.
Okay, party in Florida. Party in Florida.
See, that's exactly why we'll be locked down for another. Florida.
Don't say that.
Florida. Yeah, exactly. That's why it all.
Jen wanted to date.
That's all those crazy things you're hearing up in North. I have a biggie question. So I like to ask this question most often. So LaNease, thinking forward, what legacy would you want to leave behind when it's time to go and leave a legacy behind? What legacy have you thought about you want to leave behind?
Well, when I'm all gone away from here, what I would just like to be remembered for is kindness and spreading joy and happiness, empathy. I try to just be a bright light, and I hope that I'm just remembered for all of those positive things. I never want to be a person that brings negativity. I never want to be a person that brings negativity into the world. So I'd like to be remembered for being just a bright light for my little short blip while I was here.
I think you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I hope so.
Yes. And go ahead, Jen, with the gratitude question.
She's an absolute gratitude goddess. LaNease, do you have one moment or memory that you could share with us of gratitude?
Well, I do. I try to be grateful all the time. I think when we're going through difficult times or having a difficult day, it's helpful to think of 5 things we're grateful for in that moment. I'm sure you know about that. If I had to think about one thing that I was grateful for, yeah, I guess I would say I have some really great friends that I feel blessed to know. We're all blessed with our family, but I'm really thankful and grateful for some people that God has put into my world that really help keep me sane and keep me going, whether it's just a phone call. So I would say I'm grateful for the friends I've been blessed with that have helped me during my rough times.
Great.
That's beautiful.
For sure. Where can we connect with you? Best places to connect, LaNease. Where can we go?
Well, all of my handles are at LaNease Adams, and I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, even a little TikTok. And then I have a website, LaNeaseAdams.com, where you can find out everything about me.
So what TikTok videos are you doing? I was talking to another person that's doing a one-woman show that she was on, Orange is the New Black, and I talked to her and she said, just started doing TikTok. Said, again, if you're good looking, TikTok's the place, and can dance. TikTok's the place if you're creative and funny. All those things combined, that's where you can really blow up on TikTok. Anything? So what so far have you done that's been pretty interesting on TikTok?
I'm just getting started on TikTok. I'm more active on Instagram. On Instagram, I was just dancing the other day to some Janet Jackson. On TikTok, I've got one dance video when quarantine first started and we were all antsy. I danced on TikTok But I got to get my TikTok going more. I'm really more active on Instagram. You can see me working out. You can hear my positivity. And yeah, and I was dancing to Janet Jackson the other day, which was really fun. So if you really want to see my personality, it's more on Instagram.
Interesting. It's just the platform, and even though they're thinking of shutting down TikTok, but I doubt that. I bet you Microsoft will buy it. I really, really think that if you have, there's certain qualities that can be very successful on TikTok that you can blow
I
up
think
there.
you're right.
And especially with the Bachelor brand. Yeah. So start thinking that more, as an opportunity. If you use some of your funniness from your web series and try to take over little pieces of that to TikTok, I recommend.
That is the plan, Neil. Actually, that's the plan. The thing with Angry Bird, since that was a 2-minute skit, it was too long for TikTok, but I'm gonna make sure to get them to 1 minute so I can get them on TikTok as well. So you're right. Are you on TikTok dancing or?
I have one goofy thing, and I delete it because I waste too much time on it. I could stay on TikTok for hours. There's an addiction factor with TikTok, and I did it one time 3 hours. I'm like, okay, I'm done. And I was trying to figure out how do you make this work? What is up with this TikTok? And I did 2 videos. They didn't do anything, but it's still up there. I guess if you Googled it, but I am not TikTok at all. But I know the it factor for TikTok and what will work,
yeah.
what won't work. And if you can blow up the videos, then guess what? It's a platform, especially if people you can bring over with your fan base. So
Yeah.
that's then you take a fan base, take it to another platform. Like, for example, you take, YouTube becomes really huge for you, then you're making a really good income off just YouTube. So it's just all about finding your audience, taking them to that right platform, and then you're set. And it's kind of identifying what platform it is. I agree to keep on all of them, but the one you do the very best, you spend all the time on. The others, you just are there and you do stay active, but ultimately the one that's really doing well, keep blowing that up. It could be podcasting, who knows? There's just so many different avenues to express ourselves. And that's one thing we can continue to do during the pandemic. It doesn't stop us there.
I agree.
All right, so we'll see more of her on TikTok, I bet you. All right, Jen, go ahead and close out.
Thank you for that advice, Neil. Thank you. I'm going to call you and do a TikTok with you.
Okay, I'm cool with that. Let's do it.
I love that. We'll do a teaser for TikTok for your Angry Bird because that's hilarious. My sister has birds. My brother has birds. I refuse to have birds. I think they're great outside. I don't like parking underneath them. I got an oak tree. I got to be careful how I park in my yard. There's no way I'm having birds inside my house. But I'll eat them. I'm not caring for them. So it's, I just can't. But I think that's hilarious because anything to do with birds, it's,
Oh yeah, it's pretty funny. I think I will put a teaser on TikTok, and I'm definitely going to start putting more stuff on TikTok as well.
Yeah, and then my brother, when he had one, and then I'll let you guys go.
Okay.
But he loved Beretta growing up, so he had this white cocker spaniel, cockatoo, and he walked out into the living room, and my mom's like, "The fan's on," and he goes, "Oh, I've trained this bird." The bird goes into the fan, zooms around the fan. Feathers go everywhere. And then it zooms. It's like a cartoon character, right? I mean, this is exactly like the cartoons we've seen growing up. And then it zooms on the back porch. Thank God the door was open. All the way to the end of the back porch. Hits the screen, right? I'm talking like 50 feet or 25 feet at least. And hits the screen and goes down. Feathers are all over the place.
Oh, now did he make it?
Yeah, he made it.
Okay.
That's a good end. Now Jen has to tell how much gratitude she has for birds. Good. We can.
Oh my God, I love birds. Yeah. They're hilarious. But yeah, I have a lot of gratitude for them. Having a comic relief. Well, I want to thank you all. Thank you, Pearl. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, LaNease. We've been talking today with LaNease Adams. She was on The Bachelor, Go and See Heaven's Revenge, and The Misadventures of Catherine. She's an amazing woman. She's a mother of gratitude in her own right, of a gratitude goddess. And we appreciate you spending time with us today. We hope that you have a beautiful week. And remember, You are loved, you are blessed, and you are sacred. Mwah. I love you. Have a beautiful day.
So Jen, how fun, right? I mean, as I was sharing on the show, I've watched that show since episode 1, and only because of my mother-in-law. It was like that show and the Yankees. Like that was her 2 TV shows she had to have on. And so whenever she'd come down here in the winter, I think in the wintertime it was always the show for the Bachelor, not the Bachelorette. So every time she come down in winter, we'd watch the Bachelor, and we would do bets about who we thought he was going to pick, you know, and we were about 50-50 of being right. So it was cool having her on because Mom's not here with us anymore. So I'm going to pay homage to my mother-in-law, Jenny Sharenta, for this episode because it was a lot of fun. It reminded me of sitting in the family room watching the show with her.
I love The Bachelor. I love it. I love whirlwind romances, and I what I don't like is they don't last. But I love that whirlwind romance, and you know, the next thing you know, you're in like Napa for Christmas. That was my favorite. But man, it's a beautiful life she's led. She's definitely grateful. She has a lot of gratitude. And one of the things that she was talking about, which I thought was really good, was the coping mechanisms that she had when she needed to come. I mean, I would have never thought someone that had been on The Bachelor, you would get off and all of a sudden be on the roller coaster and end up in the hospital out of addiction, and then spun yourself and boomeranged back around and found yourself.
Yeah, it's so true. You know, it's what I think that's what's so hard sometimes for those that are on this show is that they really struggle with, you know, like the after part, and not just that show, but I think like almost all reality shows, if you think about it, and you know, you hear different stories, even like the young actors, like, you know, the Corey Feldmans and stuff of the world, where, you know, what they went through as a young actor and then how that led them, you know. So yeah, it was very powerful, and I'm proud of her for coming through and like you said, recognizing coping mechanisms, identifying that, you know, those friends. That is such a powerful statement. Is that those people you think are your friends, when it comes down to it, they're not really there for you, right?
Heartbreaking to find that out, that your tribe is not your tribe at all whatsoever, and everybody has their own hidden agendas. And once you're no longer useful to them,
Yep, it's so true. And yeah, I mean,
they're only there for money.
Exactly.
And that's, you know, that's the industry in itself. It's one of the hard things that I've always struggled with is who's real and who isn't real.
Especially, it's funny. Yeah, Chuck and I were actually talking about that this morning. We were talking about, you know, the fact of Hollywood today versus Hollywood before, and then even Hollywood future, you know, like where they're going and their messaging and things like that. So many things are happening, not just for, you know, their industry, but all kinds of different industries, excuse me. And then how are they moving forward and with change and shifting? And is it the right moving forward, right? So yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Well, I think it's good that finally you mentioned Corey. Corey was the only one that came out and said, because they were passed around in Hollywood, Corey, because they were raped, it was better, you know, basically,
right.
Is the reason why the other Corey committed suicide. The child predators, I mean, I faced it. I had it first. I mean, I got out of it because of that. I just kept running into that. I couldn't, it was so hard. And I just knew that if I wanted the person that I was supposed to become in life, that wasn't it at that point in time, because I had no foundation.
Right. You know? And yeah, and I know things are changing. You're hearing more and more with some of those that are up and coming through Hollywood, or even some, I can't remember his name. I know as a younger actor, he was on General Hospital, and Sabato, I can't think of his name, but I'm not, it's on the tip of my tongue, but like the things they're doing, like creating studios that don't have that kind of following, like really, I think you're starting to see that change now that it's becoming more, you know, everybody's starting to speak out and more about it. So I'm excited that LaNease was able to say this is where I stand for, and this is where, you know, like really she shackled in her boundaries of what her expectations were with her career. She really
did.
shackled in her expectations. Once she's come through all that, her lessons were really, it's just me. It's up to me. It doesn't matter who's around us. And I think for today, that's the lesson that I want to tell everybody and leave everybody with, is that really you have to rely on yourself. And if you can't look in the mirror and say, I feel great, I feel beautiful, then you need to then reach out to somebody, you know, call a friend to get help. And know, like she said, sometimes the people you have around you are not the right people, and search out those people that are going to help you learn self-love, help you learn how to manifest and bring those things to you, and help you, you know that you matter first. It doesn't, everybody else comes after you, that you matter first.
And that's a hard lesson to learn. And I will say, basically, because I grew up Baptist, so they were just hammering in death to yourself versus honoring yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so when she went through her faith, she went to God, she balanced it out. She found that balance. And that's really the beginning of self-help. And loving yourself is finding that balance and shackling yourself in.
So true. So true. Very, very true. Yeah.
You are just, and having that discernment. I just commend her for the fact that she's like, these are the roles I want. These are the roles I'm taking. This is what I'm doing.
And that's really what we all should be doing. Like anybody that's listening to this, that should be when you do your self-assessment of what you want, your expectations are, these, that's called being your authentic self as well. Like, this is who I want to be, and this is how I want to get there. And these are the people I need help to get there. Because it's okay, once you start taking action, it's okay to ask for support and identify as the right support, as the right people around me that's going to help me keep to my boundaries of what I want for my life.
Pearl, I have a question for someone that might be listening.
Okay.
How do you do that? Like taking the action seems to be the hardest part for some people, not because of procrastination, but how do you do that?
Well, it starts 2 steps before that. Like first you have to assess where you're at in your life. Like, for me, I was spending so many years, like getting my son to where I wanted him to be for his football, for getting to college and all that. I forgot about me, right? I was behind the camera.
I understand.
Heard my story.
I totally get it.
So totally forgot about me. And so I had to assess where I was at. And I knew that's not where I wanted to stay, right? So then I had to determine, what are my values and my ethics, and what am I willing to give up that doesn't fall in that place? And in some cases it was friends. Like I had to give up some friends. In some cases it was giving up things that I like to do that were not beneficial to those goals. So once you start doing that, and that's a hard part in itself, right there, just assessing your values.
That's a lot of work, just working on that part of yourself, because a lot of people, they don't know their values. They don't know that they are valued. And ethics, where is ethics in this day and age?
Right. Yeah. And so once you can identify that, then it's taking the action steps. And it's like, okay, I know this is where I want to go. What kind of steps do I need to do? Do I want to start a career? Okay, what's the career I want to do? And walk through what that looks like. Do I need to get a coach to help me be my authentic self and work through those things I want for myself? Right. And then how do I get that? That's all the action steps. Like, where do I need to go? Who do I need to have help me? And then ask for help. It's not a bad thing to get support. It's really, when you can identify you need support, then you're really understanding exactly what you're wanting for yourself. I have my really good girlfriends. I have people like you. And then I have, I go see a coach too. I have my own coach, for business and for personal. So it's okay to do all that stuff and get all that support.
No, I appreciate that. And for everybody that's listening, Pearl is just the pearls of wisdom. Her coaching is extraordinary. It's really good. It's down to earth. It's easy to manifest what she's talking about. And it's not all of this up there, I can't find it type of coaching that, you're very much authentic.
Thanks,
so
Jen.
how can they reach you?
So I want to say, I really believe that we all have it here, and sometimes you just need to pull it out. You don't want somebody telling you what you should do, right? Like you've gone through that. Somebody's like, well, you should do this. That's not what I want to do. Okay, so help me. I have up here what I want to do. So let's work together to pull it out, right?
Mhm.
So that's really what I like to do with the ladies that I work with. So to find me, the best way to find me, it's so easy. You can go to WS Living. That's wsliving.com, and you will find everything we're doing from our retreats. We have a free ebook you can download, and then our personal coaching and our wellness coaching. So find us on there. You'll also find the podcast where we upload those on there as well. So that's where you can find me. Where can they find you, Jen?
Hey, you can find me right now. It's under construction, but it is gratituderadionetwork.com. You can find me on Facebook, gratituderadionetwork.com, and Instagram. I'm also on Instagram as Hockey Purse Jen because I love hockey and I have a steel hockey purse. So yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we're gonna sign us out, right? You're gonna send us off with our
with our mantra.
yes.
Okay, so we're thankful of our past, no matter what happened, or this year. We're thankful for this year. We appreciate the present right now, and we have gratitude for our future. And remember, you are blessed, you are loved, and you are sacred. We love you. Mwah. Have a beautiful day.